name is James Feeney. Welcome to or back to my channel. Doing exciting hand movements because I guess it's weird to me to not be actually in front of the camera and creating something visual for you guys to see with my movement or watching me speak. But we're back with the second part of my Oracle deck collection. So I will get right into it. This one I would say is there's a theme here, but it's not really broken into categories, and I'll just get right into it for the sake of time. And we have Flowers of the Night Oracle by Sherilyn Darcy. She has beautiful decks out there. It comes in this nice hard box, and this is the only deck of hers I have, so this is the one I found the most appealing. It's by Rockpool Publishing. Comes with one of these nice chunky books. There's spreads, you get a nice bit on any of the cards. Some of its actual scientific information and where it grows and how it grows and how it connects to the keyword and affirmation written on any of the cards. So that's really wonderful. And they are a bit larger than tarot. I would say more so in the width than the height. And these are the backs. They are quite lovely, and the cards are a bit on the glossy side, but they are nice and thick. Or not so thick, but they're not thin either. And the artwork is really beautiful. It's a lot of black and white in these thick lines. I would say it's not so detailed. And then we get flashes of color in a really wonderful way. So a lot of them are plants, and sometimes there's wildlife going on as well that pertains to the meaning. So then you get the keyword and a little bit of like a subtitle, or sometimes it's more of a phrase, or no, what am I saying? That's the name. Oh, wow. No, it's the name of the plant, and then you get a keyword. You get the affirmation in the book, not on the card. My mistake. But they are beautiful. If you are interested in natural or nature-inspired oracles, it's a really nice one. I would say it's a lot more pleasant and relaxing and upbeat, and restorative and healing in nature. So if that's something you're looking for, this is a good one. Yeah. Like that one. And how many cards are in this? If I want to inform you all. Well, it doesn't. It should say. I believe it's 40 some odd cards. I'm not seeing it. I might just be missing it. I'm probably just missing it written somewhere, but I believe it's 40, like something like 42, 44, somewhere around there, 46, who knows? Not who knows, I'm sure someone knows, but so that's that one. Next we will we'll stick with the natural theme, and we'll do this one. These are, wow, I got them on Etsy. They are an Ogham Oracle, and of course this box, there's a larger box, and I forget the name and the creator. Maybe I'll put a little title across the screen here or something to let you know. Hopefully I'll remember. If not, just searching Ogham Oracle cards on Etsy will likely amount to finding these. These are the backs. It kind of takes you through the wheel of the year, which is nice. It comes with a very substantial, very thick book that teaches you basically all you could ever need to know on Oghams. It's a really big book. So you get that when you get these, which is awesome. The artwork was all done with, I believe it's in a ritual sort of setting or ritualized paint, magic paint. So that's really beautiful. You can also buy prints, I think, from the artist on their Etsy site. And so you get, say, the word that's accompanying the Ogham, the type of tree, and you get some keywords at the bottom, and then I may be wrong, but that might be the Gaelic or Celtic or Irish name for the tree. I believe it is. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But the artwork is stunning. As far as Ogham, I like, as far as runes go, I like images of some sort. I have Oghams on wood, just the the actual runes, but these are nice in that you get keywords, you get a really beautiful image to accompany it. So I do enjoy me these OM cards. I'm not so familiar with the system to the point where I'm like fluent and can just pull cards and know, but this makes it easy and accessible for those who aren't like me, and you get your keywords and you get a nice image and it gives you an idea. And they come with this nice tin with, I believe this is the willow picture, and you also get a larger box that like houses the big book as well, but that's why I don't keep it in that box, because it's quite big. It's as big as the book. So next we'll go into the nocturnal, I didn't even mention like the cardstock. The cardstock on these is like it's pretty good. It's semi-gloss. It's, I want to say, anywhere from like, I'm sorry, I don't know these things too well, anywhere from like 310 to 350, but it's not exceedingly thick or exceedingly thin. And of course there's about 20, I believe 25 in that deck. I could be wrong. It might go past the standard amount of OMs, because I've seen 20, oh my gosh. Somebody who knows OMs, please go below and like inform the people a bit better than I can. But I believe it goes past the standard OMs as well and into a little bit more. So we get the Nocturnal Oracle 48 card deck and guidebook by Megan Weirwoodin. Yes, that is her. And she also does the Anima Mundi Tarot, which is a favorite of mine, which of course you guys will see when I get to tarot decks eventually at some point in these collection videos. So yeah, the Nocturnal Oracle guidebook. And this is a guidebook I think that's really necessary, because these associations are they're a bit intuitive in terms of what the plant or animal means, but you might not draw these conclusions otherwise. So for this one, I think the guidebook is pretty essential, short, sweet, to the point. I think the phone is ringing downstairs, so if you hear that, that's what that is. But yes, really great little guidebook that's pretty necessary for these. And these are all sort of plants and animals that are associated with the nighttime, and the artwork is stunning. The cardstock is this nice linen, I believe 350 GSM, with with more of a matte gold gilding or semi-matte, that antique gold, which I really like. And yes, so all the cards are like this. There's like that sort of dark black background that they are juxtaposed in a way against. The colors are a bit muted. There are some that are more vibrant than others, but it makes you feel like you are functioning within the nighttime in this realm. And I like to use these to symbolize people, or to look for the energies regarding or surrounding certain people. I will sometimes pull them for myself. I will pull them for my friends, and sometimes because this is night themed, I like to have a good time and pull them before, say, we go out at night as a group to bars or to hang out or to go to a function. I'll pull cards for us, and if I'm with them, I'll do it in person, or if not, and we're just chatting, I'll send it in like a group chat. So I don't know. These are really fun for me in that way. So it also takes you through like the parts of night. So we saw dusk, we have dawn. So there's also like the weather or the natural world, but you get mostly plants and animals as well. That's like the primary bit. And I think this one's just particularly stunning. One of my favorite Oracle decks ever. Really like that one. Next, we will go we'll do the Botanical deck, and this is by, who is this by? Jessica Bott. Yes, and I got mine on Etsy, but I believe you can get it through thecrackedamethyst.com as well. And this is going to be a bit of an exception because it is a tarot and oracle. There's just the standard tarot, and then there's the oracle, and I can't remember if I kept them separate, but I feel like I didn't. So let me just check. If not, I'll show you both. Poisons, medicines, mushrooms, herbs, carnivorous. I think this is the oracle, and this would be honestly, I'll just take you through both now that we're here so that I don't have to try to remember and reopen the box and all that. So this is the Oracle portion. There are suits for this as well. I believe it goes 1 through 10, and then there's no quartz. And so we have medicines, poisons, mushrooms, and you'll get what like the actual plant is and the number and the category, and then you have to head to the guidebook, which I have on my bookshelf actually. But you head to the guidebook to learn a bit more about them. And I will say the artwork is stunning. The card stock is matte. They slide beautifully. It's like that 350 GSM. These are the backs for both. They are meant to potentially be used together, which is nice, although they create quite a thick deck altogether. And the box divides them into 2 piles. But, what was I going to say? Yeah, the book doesn't actually give you that much to go on, which is a little bit disappointing, but I guess it hopes that you will fill in your own meanings and images and associations. And I think it's also a great way to learn about more so the flora of the world. I won't even want to say plants. And I don't know if by saying flora, I've basically just said plants, but I'm factoring in like mushrooms, and I guess that's the only non-plant in this is technically the fungi. And so that would be the Oracle portion here with their suits. And there are, I believe, so we have T, that's an ace, but I believe that's the only T card. And then there's one other card that's like a standalone. This guy, we get the unknown seed pod. So there are these like suits that are almost just 1 card suits, and they stand alone as well. So that's that, the Oracle portion. I believe the Oracle portion is 50, I want to say 54 cards. Could be wrong. And then of course Tarot is 78. And so we have the various suits. So we have flowers, crops, which would be earth, spices, fire. Trees are the major arcana. And cacti are the swords. Oh, and I didn't say flowers are chalices, water, cups. And so yeah, I think this art style is really just what appealed to me the most. But I think it's a cool lens of way of looking at the tarot, and it's nice to be able to put the Oracle and tarot together and have that sort of change of pace. I think that the cardstock is lovely, the images are lovely, so if you are drawn to working with plant-based decks, this is a solid one. I think it's still available as far as I know. Yeah. I mean, I haven't checked, but it wasn't released that long ago, so that is the Botanical deck. It comes in a nice hard box. So I'll move that guy on over. And next we will break out the Illuminated Earth Oracle. This is an all-time favorite as well. It's comes in this nice hard box. A lot of you are probably familiar with a decent amount of these decks, especially this one. I know it's been on YouTube and featured quite a bit. So we'll just put that guy over there. And it comes with this small booklet, which is really well done. And there is a sort of suit structure of 4 different types of cards that pertain to, so you have the earth symbol, which pertains to origin, wholeness, completion, and state of being. You have the light and dark, with the dark being on the bottom, and the light being on the top, which is associated with positive associations, strength, fullness, and accord. When the darkness is on top, we get negative associations, and then we get the intersection of matter with this star, which almost reminds me of, I almost wanted to say like the sextile symbol in astrology, but I believe there are 8 spokes on this star. So it's an intersection of matter with consciousness and human influence or choice. And then you get nice alphabetically listed bits on each of the cards. Very helpful, although the cards have keywords. And so these are them. Some are a bit abstract like this, where you're really searching and trying to figure it out. I mean, it clearly almost seems like destruction based on what you're seeing. It reminds me of like lava, and something's going on here that's not so great. Underworld, the snake heading down, feels very shamanic. This deck is very earthly, shamanic in nature, for me at least, and I think for a lot of others. The card stock is, I want to say it's 400 GSM. It's matte. Has that really nice finish as well. That matte finish that's like not, I don't know how to put it. It just feels like just very nice, and the card stock is beautiful. One of the nicer card stocks I've experienced, so take that into account. And we have the elements. And so yes, a lot are abstract like this, or sometimes you'll get glyphs, where we see like a double fire for a relationship. So functioning with like the suits and the symbols and the keywords, there's a lot to go on here. I think the artwork is just quite breathtaking. I'm trying to look for one of the cards that's less abstract in nature, just to give whoever hasn't seen this deck an idea. I mean, combustion, you see the fire, but still, there's some that are, I mean, the snake wasn't so abstract. Even the ones that are more clear in their depictions have a lot of different, almost surreal elements to them. But yeah, you get some with humans or people or beings of some sort, like childhood, and she's falling, and the rabbits and the tea party. So that's quite lovely. Love this deck. It's a bit of a thick one. I think it's 50. Tell us. Oh, it's 63 cards. So for those of you who enjoy Oracle decks that have a lot of cards, which I'm somebody who would rather an Oracle deck have close to the amount of a tarot deck, or if not more, even if I get so lucky. This is one of those. So the Illuminated Earth Oracle. And it's quite well balanced. You can use it, I would say, in place of tarot, just because of the darker messages, the more positive ones, the neutral ones, the profound ones. This is just an all-arounder that you can use as a standalone. Some tarot are harder, or not tarot, some Oracle for myself are harder to use as standalones in balanced readings, but this is one that I find I can do that with, so that's nice. And I know a lot of others have that experience. I'll just bring these out together. These are both by Marcella Kroll. We have the Sacred Symbols for Divination and Meditation Oracle deck, and we have the Nature Nurture cards. Start with the Nature Nurture. I've mentioned these on my channel. There's been a few decks on here I've mentioned on my channel, so apologies, but we're going through my collection. So the Nature Nurture Oracle cards. So you get, they are all numbered, and you get a bit on each card. It's kind of kept with divinatory meanings, which is nice, and they'll ask or almost pertain to certain circumstances and say, if this is happening, perhaps this is what it means. It's short, sweet, to the point, but gives you just enough to go on. And then the cards themselves have keywords, which is always welcome with Oracle, where you might not be able to ascertain the meaning otherwise. So Koi Fish, and these cards they're not too thick, not too thin. They are glossier in finish, and they have a shiny gold gilding. And I believe there are 45 cards in this one. So that's nice. And they're quite tiny, smaller than playing card stock. So they're little mini ones. And a lot of them are, of course, not of course, but we have Nature Nurture, so it's nature inspired. And then we get some more, I guess, shamanic, spiritual entities in a way in the deck, like the Sleeping Man. I believe there's a Sleeping Woman, and we get a few others like that. And the artwork is nice. It's nothing that's like I mean, not that it's nothing that's I just mean that it's a bit on the smaller side, and there's not too much going on, so it's not busy, which is nice. Sometimes, actually a lot of the time, I would prefer a little bit more minimalism. But again, it's really case by case for me. We just did the Illuminated Earth, where that is quite busy, and I enjoy it for that aspect. So I guess it just depends on how it's done and the context. But this one is really nice in its simplicity. So we got that one. I really enjoy adding this one to readings. Again, I think this is one that, like, not again, but I could probably use it on its own, but it is nice to add to readings, and it would be a reading done just with this would be somewhat limited in its scope, but when added, I think it can really add something beautiful, profound, different to a tarot reading or a different type of oracle reading when you're combining things. And this is the Sacred Symbols for Divination and Meditation Oracle deck. I think this is my favorite of the two. This card stock is a lot different. First of all, it's a larger deck, more oracle size, bigger than tarot. It's mostly matte in finish, and it has like I just like the sound it makes when cards have that finish. It is not gilded, and these are the backs. I think that's the Eye of Horus, and the corners are nice. They're not sharp, but they have like they're very slightly rounded or sharp rounding, and they're numbered, and you get a sigil or a symbol and a keyword and a number. And to me, there's just something really awesome about this minimalism, about some of the symbols which are very old, historically speaking, and a lot of them we can resonate with in some way, just having seen them in other places. And these are great for, yes, like the thing says, meditation, and I also find them to be great for ritual. If you want to draw upon these archetypes, the book is nice in that it gives you ways to interact with it. This is a shorter one. Some are longer, some are shorter, but it goes into the symbol and then how you might use it, when you might want to meditate on it, or what it might mean. And so this guidebook, I think, is very helpful in taking the keyword and expanding upon it and how you might want to use the card. So yeah, and then there is Divine Feminine in here. So there's a lot of balance. I like just pulling one of these cards from time to time. Sometimes I do readings just with this deck, and I find that it is quite well and good at that. So that's that. And there are, how many cards in this one? Oh, this is the 3rd edition also. I don't know if the other editions are different. And how many cards? I want to say there's 40 something, like 44, somewhere around there. So that's that guy. Did those. We will move on to, we'll do this. So we'll do the, oh my gosh, the Weaver's Oracle. Oh my god, my mind, where am I at? Okay, comes with this nice bag. There's a really wonderful book that comes with it that's on my bookshelf, but it comes in a bigger box. There's a hard box with the book, with this bag, with the deck. So there's all of that wonderful stuff. You can get this off of, is it Seventh Wave Music? Something like that. And I am blanking on the artist's name, so I'll try to also remember to maybe put that in the video or something, but this is one I'm sure a lot of people have seen, and if you just Google Weaver's Oracle, you were sure to find a lot of answers. Sorry, my throat. So these are the backs. It is a larger deck, decently larger than tarot size, so it can be harder to shuffle for some. And the card stock is on the thicker side, I would say. I'm not good at guessing, maybe like 350, might be more, might be 400, who knows. And so you get a weaver or one of the women. They are all women, and they are numbered, so you get the keyword. So this one would be Storm, and then you get who the woman is. So this is the Weathered Woman of the Dark Drum, and I've been working with her. I have found that I work with a weaver that I pull for months on end before pulling another one. There's no set time limit with that, so she's on top because I keep this oracle is out on display on my Divine Feminine altar, so she stays on the top as a constant reminder that I'm working with her, that her energies are around, that I need to learn her lesson. The book is great in telling the story of these women, as well as the lessons that they might impart and how they apply to you. So they're like teachers or wise women in a way. Raven, Udagon of the Bone Needle. And I know that there are a lot of walkthroughs. Not that I'm showing any of these cards in their entirety, or any of these decks in their entirety. It's more so just to show you the decks that I have, because I guess, well, I enjoy watching them, so I guess others enjoy watching them based on what I've seen, and it's a nice way for me to take stock of the decks that I have, especially during this depth year that I'm doing. So this is the Weaver's Oracle. Put that off to the side. And next we will do the Ancestral Oracle of the Celts it's illustrated by Will Kingen, and it's by Caitlin Matthews. So it comes in this nice slide out hard box. There's an indentation to put all the cards in there, which is always nice when they aren't separated. And there are, how many cards are in this? It's a good question that I will want to be able to provide you guys with. Tells us how many pages are in the guidebook, but not how many cards on the outside of the box. So you get, I think maybe it's like 30 something. It says, well, it says, and the 32 clan cards, but I don't think the clan cards are all of the types of cards. All right. There's anywhere from like 30 to 40. There's not too many. The card stock is honestly not the best. It's smaller than tarot size by a bit, especially in height, and it might be difficult to see. No, I think you could see it. The weavings on the back, and it's harder to see in person actually, and it just looks like it's this deep purple almost. And yeah, the cardstock is not the best, I won't lie, but I work with it and it's nice. And the artwork is beautiful. The book is wonderful in going into a bit of meaning of the card, not a bit of meaning, it gives you a lot actually, and how to work with, say, ancestors in a way. My background as far as ancestors go is primarily Celtic in nature, so, and I remember the first card I pulled, I went to the book, and I want to try to find her now, and it's essentially like where my ancestors are, the county that my ancestors would have been from, or would have been from, were from in Ireland, the Queen. And if we look up the Queen, where does it say? I'm not going to pronounce that, but that is whereabouts, I believe it's a county. I hope it is, maybe it's just a region. I'm not so familiar with Ireland, but as far as I know, that's where my ancestors are from. So I thought that was funny to have pulled, and it kind of gave me an instant connection with the deck. But there's also cards that are not people. They are like these bowls in a way, and there's like the Lady of Life, the Lord of Life, Lady of Love, Lord of Love. So there's a couple of those, and those go horizontal. And then there's the people, which are in a way kind of archetypal. And I just find these to be extremely interesting. There's also the different colored borders. So yeah, this is a really great one. I'm trying to get to one of the, did I group them all together? I don't know, but one of these cards, and these are borderless on this side. Well, they're borderless entirely because the back is borderless. So these ones would be borderless cards, and so they look like. But yeah, I think they're quite beautiful. The only downside is the card stock, but the book and the images and how they work really make up for that. So that's that one. Next, and we will do, this is John Matthews and Will Kingham. I figured we would keep those two together, and they're kind of done in a very similar style as far as the packaging. The artwork is a bit different, and of course it's a different oracle, but I don't know, they naturally go together for me in a way. So we have the Shamans Oracle, wisdom and guidance from the ancestors. And the publisher is the same, which is probably the reason that the cardstock on this one is equally as bad in its own way. They're packaged the same way. These actually they're bad in a different way. The cardstock is slightly different, but maybe a bit better than the Ancestral Oracle of the Celts, but not by much. It's a thicker deck. There are more cards in this one. There are, will this one tell us? It says it's somewhere in the, like I know it's somewhere. Oh, there's 52. Okay, so there's 52 cards in this one. And we get the same kind of book, same size or so that goes into these. It's nice and colored. This book, again, just like the last one, is very in-depth and offers a lot for these cards. So for the book alone and the images and what they can provide, I think it's worth it. If the cardstock was a potential drawback or something that might inhibit you wanting this deck, but I think it's still worth it. And so a lot of them are like cave paintings. I know that there is a signifier card that you're supposed to use in a decent amount of the readings, and if I come across it, I will try to remember and show you guys. But there are different categories, like we have the Shaman of Purification, and I believe that the borders are what denote a certain sort of suit, or say like all of the shamans would be within these green borders. In the blue we have Spirit of Challenge, Ancestor of Protection, so they get that with that pattern. The Journeyer, I think that might be our signifier card. But yeah, these are really interesting. They're a bit abstract, but there's a lot to go on, and then you get these almost like items in the corner. Well, yeah, they kind of are. So you get like a medicine, it looks like a medicine bag of some sort, or like a shamanic medicine bag. And then a rattle for the Dancer of Life. So yeah, I really do enjoy these, and they are a bit smaller than tarot. They might be just ever so slightly wider, but a decent amount shorter. They kind of remind me of playing card size, but again, I think maybe a bit bigger than that. So that is these. These are them. That is that. Alright, let's get this show on the road. So next we have the Shamanic Medicine Oracle cards by Barbara, Michael John Free, and Flavia Kate Peters. One that I have mentioned before. And so these are the backs. They are quite large. I would say they're similar to the Weaver's Oracle size. Here, I have that there so we can compare. Oh no, Weaver's Oracle is bigger by a little bit, but if that means anything to you guys. Still a bigger deck, I would say. So these have that nice, oh my gosh, what's the publisher? Oh, it's Blue Angel. I almost wanted to say it's Hay House. It's not, is it? It's not Hay House, but it feels like it. Yeah, so basically similar to Hay House cardstock. And you get a keyword, what's within the image, and this beautiful art. It's very healing in nature. Well, it's called shamanic medicine, so one would think that there would be a healing element to it. And it does play off of a lot of universal shamanic themes. Shamanism as a sort of practice or way of life is quite universal. Just not despite culture, but it kind of is almost outside of culture. It persists throughout many cultures throughout the world. So it's really universal in that way. The artwork is beautiful and just fun to look at. So it's nice for that aspect. And then the guidebook, which I'll get into in a second. Is really nice and thorough. You get the card and you get a nice like page and a half or so, and it goes into it. You get almost like a little poem or almost affirmation, a divinatory message, the insect reveal, which goes into almost like its history, or a version of history, where it was, how it's been seen, some of its highlights. Yeah, great book. Great guidebook. Okay, so put that guy over there. We're almost done with this part. So next we get the Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards. This is a Hay House deck, and it's by Kyle Gray. Artwork is by Lily Moses. It's a 55 card deck, and I know this is one that's people are familiar with. This one, like I said, I think is Hay House, as I thought that the Shamanic medicine was, but it is not. So comes with one of these nice chunky books that goes into a decent amount of detail for each card. There's messages, there's about the person, so each person or card gets like a little bit of a story. You get divination, what it might mean, how it might manifest, so on and so forth. So very thorough, useful guidebook. Useful to have. These are the card backs. It has that nice matte finish. They are quite thick, like Hay House cards tend to be, and decks tend to be. And so you get some that are like this, where it is a thing, like an arrow, and so you get the thing, the word, and then you get a little sort of phrase to go with it. Surround yourself with protective energy. The Spirit Fox, trust your talents in changing times. And then I would say the majority are beings or people of some sort. And then you also get things like Moon. This one's really, I don't know, I think it's Shamanic and Healing, one that I would, not of course, but it seems very naturally tied to that Shamanic medicine oracle, so I would be inclined to use it alongside it. And it's great to go alongside readings to see maybe what guardian or person is, energies are with you, what we might learn from. These are nice archetypes to interact with as well. And so, yes, that is them. That is that. And then we have 2 left for this part. I can get them up. Oh wow, as I'm making a mess. So first we'll do I'm starting to like not move them as far away, and now they're like all infringing in this one space, so we'll move this guy over. So we have the Celtic Shamans Pact, Guided Journeys to the Otherworld by John Matthews, illustrated by Cheska Potter. And this one is, how many cards? Beautiful. It does 40 beautifully illustrated cards, so 40. And it comes with a nice big book. They all are in a single cutout, which again is very nice. The back of the book, the front of the book. The book is extensive and is a great primer, I would say, on shamanism, actually, Celtic shamanism. And these figures and the things depicted in the cards are actually very good to know about if you are embarking on a more shamanically informed or influenced path. And there's a bit in the beginning that prefaces everything and sets you up very well. There are a lot of spreads, so this book goes pretty well and beyond the actual card meanings. There's a lot to be had and found from this book that is not just pertaining to the cards, so it's valuable in that way as well. And we have the 40 cards. These cards are not the best cards. They're not that bad though. They're about tarot size. They're quite glossy. These are the backs. The backs are actually different. So there are different colored borders on the backs. And I really like this artwork on the fronts. You don't really get any key phrase or word to tell you like what the circle of 9 is, so that can be a detriment to people who aren't as familiar with these things, having to go into the book. but there's only 40 cards, and I would think hopefully if you're using it quite often, you get the idea, the gist. And there's the artwork to go off of if you just want to work with it intuitively. So I really enjoy this one. I could be wrong, but didn't Jessica Potter do the artwork as well for the Greenwood Tarot? If she didn't, this looks very similar, but I believe she also did the Greenwood Tarot. So that's that one. Really enjoy that guy. And now we have made it to the last one. This one is longer. This video is even longer than the last one, alas. So here we are at the Herbal Healing deck by Sarah Baldwin, illustrated by Ashley Verkamp. And oh, you pull this up, silly me. And you get a bit on them in here. Comes with a really, really nice big guidebook. The guidebook is like one of the best parts of this, and I'll get into that in a second. And then they're all in this cutout here. Nice magnetic closed box. They are not massive cards, but they're bigger than tarot size. And yeah, but they're not too big. The cardstock is nice. It's on a little bit thick, but not overly thick. Of course, this is what the backs look like, and it is a glossier cardstock, but I don't find that they're too sticky. So you get plants, there are trees, but there's also, so there's different suits, as you'll see in the corner denotes it, but also just like the type of plant, like trees are their own suit. So we have willow, and then you get the keyword interconnectedness, and then the tree is almost personified or anthropomorphized, and we get the human-like features with like eyes or things like that. So that's kind of interesting as well, but you get interconnectedness really through that imagery. All right, so we cut off somewhere with a bit of the phone died. So we are back now, and I know we were talking about the human aspect to these cards in the images, and that's interesting. I mean, as people, we instinctively pick up on certain features, and some are a lot more clearly faces than others, whereas this one has the mouth, the nose, the eyes, but some are, you're kind of wondering if it has a face. There are some that I struggle to find any face in. Some seem to be quite clear. The eyes are really the factor that is most prevalent. So, like I said, the guidebook is really a big part of this. These alone are really beautiful. I love the muted color tones that are a bit more pastel-like. Nice, a lot of yellows and greens and earthy colors that remind me of spring. Oh, we have the cover image here, turmeric persistence, and that's part of, I believe it's a tuber or more of a root plant or herb. It's the Herbal Healing deck. We have the suits, and I look to like where a division of a suit would come in, but you get a really nice full picture, or full color, I can't speak today, full color image and the keyword, and then you get a little quote that's from something, and then it goes into the actual medicinal and more scientific traits associated with the use of a given plant, and then a bit on its mystical, spiritual history as far as it's been used and associated and how it can apply to your life. A lot of it has to do with self-worth and self-growth and self-healing. So it's beautiful. It doesn't really shy away from some of the darker aspects as well. We have mugwort with cycles, and it's a bit darker. There are some that have to do with like detoxifying, so they aren't all just happy and uplifting. Some are about improvement. So there's that as well, although I would say it tends to be a gentle deck overall. But this guidebook is a really big resource as far as the herbs go. It'll teach you something about the actual plants, which is nice. So if you knew nothing, the information in here is accurate, and it's trying to teach you a bit about the actual plant and its correspondences outside of just an oracle or divinatory sense. So these are great in a more somewhat affirmation sense. You could use them in a divination sense too, but I think affirmations are pulling one at a given time for a certain reason and what we can work on and grow. These are great ways to work with these cards. And they're nice. They shuffle well. Who's the publisher? I know that they came in one of those wrapped things, which kind of like did a little bit to the edges, which I'm not always a fan of. I think it's a Schiffer. Yeah, it's a Schiffer, which is probably why it was like that. But it has that Schiffer cardstock, but this cardstock is not that bad. I think it's like a little bit easier as far as the gloss cardstocks go. So that concludes this video. That brief interruption we had threw me off, but we have reached the end of the second part. There's one more part to come. I hope you guys are enjoying seeing these Oracle decks. It's nice for me to take stock of some decks that I maybe had at the back of a shelf or something and hadn't really looked or pulled out in a while. And in terms of my depth here and what I can work with more, likewise, I enjoy watching these. So I'm hoping that you guys get some inspiration or maybe see some things that you like as well. And the information is helpful maybe in purchases or inspiration or all that good jazz. So like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And until next time, bye guys.